hear them and we're young, we're free. Summer's begun, so come around with me. Yeah, we're young and we're free. It's time to lead us down and go swim in the sea. 20-something just don't feel right. How the hell can we sleep at night? It's time to kiss our childhood goodbye. We're 20-something, so enjoy the ride.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 8th episode of 20-somethings. My name's Ryan. I'm here with Maddie, Griffin, Aiden I, and Aiden F, and I'm very tired, so forgive me if I misspeak. We're going to jump straight into today's episode and today's topic. So first, we're going to start with the Narragansett three-person ordinance. So for a little background, in spring of 21, the Council of Narragansett voted in a 3-2 vote approving the three-person ordinance, which caps the number of students allowed to live in a single-family household in Narragansett to 3. So some residents are arguing that college students, the crowd is very noisy, that they're disruptive, and they don't mesh well with the family neighborhood. While students say that the ordinance drastically changes housing options and makes rent unaffordable. So here's what a couple students had to say in a video.
One of the big reasons people move off campus is because it's actually cheaper than living in a residence hall at the end of the day, because you don't have to worry about meal plans and things like that either. But if you start charging $800 plus rent to live in what should have been an 8-person house for 3 people, it's not going to be worth it.
Some point out the ordinance would suddenly create a new demand for housing, with hundreds of students looking for a place, while others say they'd like to see long-term families move in instead.
So as of September 22nd of this year, Judge Sarah Taft Carter had granted a motion halting the enforcement of the ordinance, and that's currently where we stand today. So what effects do you think this ordinance will have on students, residents, landlords, and the town as a whole?
I think it'll be bad. First of all, if they get this 2-person ordinance lobbied, which is what they're trying to do, that'll really leave a lot of students with no housing. I'm a student who lives in Narragansett, and this ordinance is even like sketching me out a little bit. And I agree with what you said in the video. It'd be absolutely outrageous if we have to pay like over $800 rent plus $1,200 rent plus for an 8-person house for two people living there. And I don't know if it was actually going to change Narragansett, but I know that they're trying to.
Yeah, and going off what you said, like other utilities and stuff, I'm sure would be much cheaper in like if there were more people living in a house. Like I don't know if you pay Wi-Fi, but like grocery bills would be split between more people. I am blanking on any other bills that people may have, like electricity. I don't know if that's something you pay. It's something I have to pay. But it seems like from that video that they were mainly doing it to get families living in these homes, which still, like, that's a pretty big house to, like, for a family, unless it's a big family. But it's not fair for these students who are moving away from home, like, if from different states, and URI doesn't have that, like, enough room for all these students, and all these students are going to have nowhere to live. The Brady Bunch, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all also going to see maybe a change in elected officials because based on this ordinance, we've seen a bunch of groups, including some organizations, related to Greek life on campus. They've been pushing for more students to vote for people who are going to oppose this ordinance. So I think if more, we're going to see a lot more, anti-ordinance and, new policies come into place based on who is elected, especially with elections coming up.
It's interesting. I wonder if the ordinance did pass, I wonder where they think kids in Rhode Island would go. And like all we have is Narragansett. Driving farther away would make it much harder to get to school. I wonder where we would have to go elsewhere,
Because no way Kingston is big enough for all of us.
Exactly. Like they just have to accept that this is like a college town.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
I mean, it's been a college town for a long time. And I don't know if this has been a thing that the people of Narragansett have been wanting to do for a long time, but I don't know why they can expect it's just going to suddenly change and nobody's going to be pissed off about it.
This seems like it's left over from COVID, unfortunately, and they're trying to keep this going. And like Aiden F said earlier, there is now a proposal for a 2-person ordinance. So we'll have to wait and see how this shakes out in the future, although it's currently on hold. But let's move on to our next topic. So Alaska just recently canceled the annual snow crab season due to a significant decrease in the population of snow crabs over the past couple of years. CBS has a recap on it, so let's take a look.
An estimated 1 billion crabs mysteriously disappeared in just 2 years. That's a 90% plunge.
Where have the snow crab gone? Did they run up north to get to that colder water? Did they completely cross across the border? Did they walk off the continental shelf on the edge there of the Bering Sea? We don't know.
The first reaction was, is this real? You know, we looked at it, was almost a flat line.
As a researcher with the Alaska Department of Fish and Game,
Let's see what we've got for crab.
it's Ben Daly's job to monitor the health of the state's fisheries, which produce 60% of the nation's seafood. His team is now investigating where the crabs have gone.
But we're trying to look for causes. Disease is one possibility. Environmental conditions are changing rapidly. We've seen some warm conditions in the Bering Sea the last handful of years, and we're seeing a response in a cold-adapted species. So it's pretty obvious that this is connected.
So snow crabs are by far and away the most abundant form of crustaceans in the Bering Sea, and they are caught commercially. And scientists are claiming that this is not due to overfishing. And there were 8 billion crabs in 2018 and has decreased to 1 billion in 2019. So what do you guys think are some possible causes to the disappearance of the snow crabs?
I think climate change is definitely a big factor in this. You know, the ocean temperatures are rising, and snow crabs are cold-blooded creatures, or cold water creatures, excuse me. And since the sea levels are getting warmer, it's probably affecting the numbers. Disease could be a factor. I know they said overfishing isn't a factor, but it probably definitely didn't help. We're definitely overfishing them a little bit. But yeah, that's what I think. Oh, also, this isn't the first time that this has happened. The red king crab in Bristol Bay, their season was closed for the second year in a row. So this has been happening for a little bit.
Yeah, this isn't even the first time with this specific crab, actually. The species had been like on an uptick in 2018 and 2019 in terms of population. No study was conducted in 2020 due to COVID. But then in 2021, they actually had the biggest crash in population they'd ever had. And while it wasn't big enough to cancel the season, now we're seeing that happen. So clearly this is something that's been in the works. It was probably even going back to 2020. But yeah, it's not until now that we've actually seen it affect so many.
Right, especially if it's rapidly declining from 8 billion to 1 billion in just, what's it, like 3 or 4 years? Like, that's a lot of crabs to lose. And kind of going back to your question, going off what Aiden said, yeah, the scientists are reporting that the Arctic is warming 4 times faster than the rest of the planet. So if these crabs are really cold water species, then obviously, like, the water's getting too warm for them, the ice is melting, it's not the environment for them. So either they're dying off because it's not the environment that they physically can live in, or they're like moving to try to find somewhere colder, because this was in Alaska, right?
Yes.
So they're probably trying to move like north to find somewhere that's colder.
This can also definitely have. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, continue.
This can also definitely have big economic impacts. The Alaskan crab industry is worth like a lot of money. I think it's somewhere around $200
I can help you there. I can help you there. That was actually my next question. So in Alaska, really? Yeah, the seafood industry actually employs 62,000 workers in 2019, and the seafood industry for the output of Alaska is 5.7 billion. Now this isn't just crabs alone. I believe, Aiden, you were right, it's somewhere in the 200 millions, but I could be wrong in that. But so what do you guys think the economic impact will be for Alaska, the US, and even to an extent the world?
I think it's going to be pretty drastic. There are fishing families where they take out huge loans to run a business and afford having a huge ship that goes out every year and picks up crabs. So, like, not being able to fish and have the season shut down for you for a whole year, that's something pretty drastic, and they need those funds to break even. So, I think people are going to struggle for real, definitely.
That's the thing. It's not like massive corporations that are doing this fishing. It's small businesses. It's families. These aren't the types of businesses or companies that are going to be able to take a loss like this, in stride. This is going to really affect some people in Alaska, and I think it's really horrific. My heart absolutely goes out to them.
Right. All these people are going to lose their jobs and they're going to lose their source of income if they can't find anything else.
Yeah, unfortunately, we'll have to wait and see what happens. But let's move on to a slightly more uplifting story, especially for us students. So, Biden has passed the Student Loan Borrowers Act in the US. And currently, borrowers own a collective of $1.75 trillion in federal and private student loans as of August 22, and 92% is federally owned, making 43 million Americans owning or borrowing loans, and with a total outstanding fee of $1.62 trillion. Now, for up to $10,000 for borrowers with an annual income of $125,000 for individuals and $250,000 for married, filling jointly or head of households positions, and up to $20,000 for the Pell Grant. Sorry if that didn't make any sense with my statistics, but the beta application just released a couple days ago, with the official one coming out later this month. So rather than propping a question, let's just have an open discussion about what you guys think, why you guys think this took so long, the impact for students long term, and how do you guys feel about this as a student?
Getting some help is nice. I hope it's successful. I hope the test goes well. I don't know what that really means, beta test, but
that just means that like the application process.
Okay.
Currently, there's a beta to see like how many people are going to apply, what the application looks like, what the forgiveness is going to be for certain people. Like the actual application to apply for student loans is coming out later this month.
Okay, yeah. I heard that the way that they sent it out was through a mass email. And that's how you would get the application. And it takes like 2 minutes to do. It's really quick.
I saw on the FAFSA website, actually, or like the FSA website, and it's like the first thing that pops up too, and it says like fill out a loan forgiveness. It'll take you 5 minutes. And I think even Joe Biden tweeted about it earlier, saying like it's 5 minutes, go do it, get your loans forgiven.
Yeah, according to the Washington Post, 8 million have already applied, which is kind of crazy. I mean, I did it. It took like 8 seconds. I was kind of impressed by how straightforward it was, and the site seems to be working well. I mean, I think this is kind of a resounding success, especially if this is a beta. If this is how the actual thing is going to go, it's just kind of a resounding success, in my opinion, at least.
I've
really
seen people online complaining because it doesn't like say anywhere on the application like it doesn't make you put in something that proves that you took out a loan. But I'm sure that's something like you fill it out and then like financial aid has to like check through it, make sure that you're actually making less than $125,000 a year, make sure that you're actually taking out loans that can be forgiven, like all that.
Yeah, so it's very exciting to see that finally we can get a little weight off our chests going forward, and maybe we won't have this economic strain on us moving forward. But that is all the time we have for us today. This is 20 something signing off.